our team of instructors. So we conduct webinars on fxstreet.com. That's where you're watching this at this point. And that's the last one in June. If you check the July schedule, you'll see we have usually about 7 or 8 during the month. So that'll be put up very soon. I believe the next one is from Pedro. That's coming up on the 3rd, 2nd or 3rd of July. Yeah, 2nd of July. That's Pedro. He'll be continuing with the Trade with UFOs Nailing FX series. Our other webinars, if you like to join us, are on the tradewithufos.com/get together, where you can see the calendar. And this is the calendar for June. So we've got just 2 more left after this session. That's on the 30th. We have a session from Andrew, and then followed by a session by Bert. And as you can see, we have many webinars throughout the week looking at the Forex market. So that's all the Nailing FX series. Okay, so that's that's a little bit about the Nailing FX a series of webinars. Today's session, 1 hour, we'll focus on looking at the week ahead. What do the Forex markets offer us? What's it looking like on the major currencies? So we'll focus on the major currencies, and hopefully today we may even have time to look at some of the other currency pairs. Last couple of times I did this series on Trade with UFOs. It was an introduction to this style of trading, which is planning your trades over the weekend on a Saturday when markets are closed. We plan for the week ahead, set our trades on Monday, and hope to get our results by the end of the week. So that's the weekly session looking at the week ahead. Planning for the week ahead. Let's see what the week holds for us. The week from June 28th to July 3rd, 2020. In terms of events and reports, in order for us to know, just give me 1 second. In order for us to know when can we expect volatility in the markets. So on Tuesday, which is the 30th, we have GDP numbers coming out of Canada. That's around 12:30 GMT. So all these timings are as per Greenwich Mean Time. Please do adjust it as per wherever you're located in the world. So this is when we can expect some volatility on the Canadian dollar. So the only reason to look at when these events and reports are scheduled is so that we can know when to expect volatility on these currency pairs. Followed by Wednesday, which is the 1st of July, we've got employment numbers coming out of the US. Again, on Thursday, we've got more employment numbers coming out of the US. On Wednesday, it's around noontime GMT. On the 2nd, it's around 16:30 GMT. Okay. And on the euro, finally, on Friday, we've got services manufacturing PMI numbers coming out from across Europe, France, Italy, Spain, Germany, UK. We've got a lot of services and manufacturing PMI numbers being released on Friday. So that again is on 7:15 AM GMT. So that's again, we could expect some volatility around the European currencies, not just the euro, but also the GBP. Okay, so that's when. So that was the purpose of looking at this calendar of the events that are scheduled in the coming week, so that we can figure out when we need to be aware of when the additional volatility can kick in. Volatility can kick in any point, but we need to be especially aware of when there could be additional volatility. So planning for the week ahead. I'm sorry, give me just a second so I can probably see your comments. Just give me a second. Okay, carrying on. Yep, so we start the week by looking at the dollar index. Is it an uptrend? Is it a downtrend? And are there any good areas where we could be buying or selling? Okay. Also, before that, I would just like to quickly recap on some of the trades that we had discussed in our previous session, which was on the 20th of June. So last Saturday when we met, we had also planned this similar session. Just checking for comments. Give me a second. Okay, so 20th of June, we had looked at a sell side for on the dollar index, which meant that we were bullish on the euro, the New Zealand dollar, accordingly. So because we were bearish on the dollar index, we were looking to sell USD JPY, sell USD CHF, buy. So let's see how all that played out. Now, none of these trades actually met entry. So let's see, we were trying to sell at 98.16 on the dollar index, right? So let's go ahead and check what happened with those trades. Okay, so let's see. So we were looking to sell at 98.16. We knew overall the market direction was down, and that's so last time when we were planning the trade, we were here. The week had closed here, and then with the opening of the week, just a second, responding to a comment. Okay, so this is where we were at the end of the week, and when we were planning our trades last Saturday, and we said it will be a down climate, right? So it was a down climate here on the big picture when we look at the weekly. So we saw a confirmed down climate, which is why we wanted to sell. Now, in terms of execution, so in terms of direction, we were perfect. We knew that the dollar, this was the intended action that we wanted to see. However, we wanted to see it going into the UFO and then reversing. Didn't quite make it into the UFO. Just came shy of the UFO and then went down into in fact, hit the other UFO. The only reason we didn't want to be buying here, it was because of the big picture, the down climate. There's a lot more force going to the downside, in which case buying becomes slightly low probability. We could have looked at this as well, but the stronger probability was to the downside. Exactly what we got to see, except that we would have liked it to come up a little bit and then go down, because when the week had ended last week, there was a little bit of volatility, just like we saw yesterday as well. When the markets ended towards the end of the stock market sessions, there was a little bit of additional volatility, and which is what was true last week as well, which is why we were expecting a little bit of a bounce into this UFO and then a reversal. Well, we just missed it narrowly, and I was just being a little more conservative because price was already here, just in case there was a gap as soon as market opened. Didn't want to get stopped out just because of the gap up and down. So the plan was discussed in detail. We just missed the trade. So 98.16 didn't quite get in there. So let's see what we can do with the week ahead. Similar story with the euro as well. Euro, we were bullish. It was a confirmed up climate. We wanted to buy. However, we were waiting for a little bit of a drop, and then going to the upside. Didn't quite get down here. As soon as the market opened, went straight into this red UFO here, and then reverse from there. This red UFO has given us a few good trades. However, it was on the wrong side, which is why we never looked at this red UFO as a selling opportunity, because the overall confirmed climate on the big picture is to the upside. So the higher probability was to the upside, and well, so one of the things about this session on the weekend is if we don't get a little bit of a dip into, if the week starts here, right? So the only way to get into this market here would have been a buy market, right? Here, the week opened here and then just kept shooting up. So there was no touch of anything lower than this. So in that sense, when we're planning a swing trade, it's almost impossible to get into that kind of a trade. The only way we could have gotten into this trade was we knew market was bullish. There's a confirmed up climate on the big picture. We know it's a buy. And if we see market going up, we take a buy market. There was no area where we could have, looked at a limit place where we could have found limit orders, where we could have placed our limit orders alongside, right? Like in the areas with the UFOs. So in the UFOs, these are the areas where we figure that there would be unfilled orders waiting, which causes the reversal of price, just like we see happening here around this UFO, where, after multiple touches, so this was the first touch, gave us a good reversal here. So this UFOs produced a few good reversals here, except that we were not looking to sell, but otherwise turned out to be a good area with, full of unfilled orders. So after the first touch, went deeper into that UFO areas, UFO zone, and got pushed out another time. So we got three pushes out of this UFO area. Right? So, anyways, we got our direction right. Execution, we missed it narrowly. That's okay. And some of these trades. Okay, so some of these trades, just switch off the camera if I can. Okay, can't seem to figure out where the camera is. Okay, so let me just continue. Sorry about that if you can see a black screen. Okay, so let's continue with the week ahead and today's session. If you're already familiar with the whole methodology, we could be planning some other trades. Usually we just look at the dollar majors. We just have a 1 hour, and with some question and answers, we get to go through the dollar majors. But in today's session, now that you're sort of already familiar with the flow of how the session plays, in terms of what the expectation is, what the outlook is, we may find to do some other cross pairs as well. For example, maybe the Euro JPY, GBP JPY. So that's how this session will be, planned. So let's go ahead. Let's start by looking at what this week holds for us, or what we can expect to see in the markets this week. Let's start with the dollar index and see what we start on the big picture. When we look at the dollar index, we always start all our analysis by looking at the US dollar first, and because that helps us, gives us an orientation for our other major currencies like the euro, the GBP, the Swiss franc, the Japanese yen, Australian dollar, etc. So US dollar, looking at the big picture, we're planning a trade that can last for about 10 to 15 trading days. So some of these trades, will be pending orders, and this style of trading does need a little bit of patience, in the sense you may have to wait for about 10 days to get entry. Sometimes it happens in about 3 to 4 days. The way I plan it is usually comes in about 3 to 4 days. We find the setups on a Saturday, we set it up, we put in the orders on a Monday morning around London Open. We wait till about Wednesday, Thursday. Usually we get entry around Wednesday, Thursday. Sometimes we have to wait for the following week to get entry. So some of these trades can be left um, untouched, if you will. Yes, occasional reviews will help if you want to check for change. For example, we had set up a sell order here, 98.16 on the dollar index last week. Now it didn't meet entry, reversed from here. We would have liked it to come in here and then reversed. We would have given us a shot, but didn't quite do that. So we come back this week. So this week we review. We are again doing the weekly session on a Saturday. Again, we look at the climate. If the climate is still confirmed and down, so those of you who are attending this session for the first time, this is the Auto Climate application app, which you can download on TradeStation as well as TradingView. And what this tells us is the climate in terms of trend, whether we're likely to see bullishness or bearishness. Where you see the sapphire dots, it will indicate a bullish sentiment in the markets, a bullish trend. And where you see the red dots, it shows us a bearish trend in the market, or bearish sentiment in the market. And again, we have the thin and the thick dots. When we have the thick dots, it means it's confirmed. There's a stronger possibility. Usually when we see the thin dots, we say pass. We don't have a confirmed climate, so where we have a confirmed down climate in this case. So the trade remains valid. We have a UFO close by, and as you can see how the UFOs are giving us good reversals. So we'll continue to hold on to this plan. So we've had to wait for about 2 weeks to get entry. Hopefully we get entry this time. So the plan remains unchanged. We'll go with this UFO year, continue to look to sell around 98.16. Stop loss goes around 98.46. That's about 30 cents of risk. Okay. So let me just check one more thing on the chat. Let me see, check for comments. Just give me a second. Okay, so we'll stick to the plan. We'll still go with a short here. We've been waiting patiently. This week we're very close. Last week we almost got entry. This week we hope to get entry around the 98.16 area. Again, remember we're going into the end of the month, so end of the month is a little more special. Also, this week when we go into the end of the month, it's also the end of the quarter two. And being quarter two of 2020, when there has been so much volatility. In fact, we haven't probably seen so much volatility in many decades. So this is the kind of volatility we got to see in 2020. That was in quarter one. Early part of quarter two, we had a little bit of pacing, which was market trying to calm down after the additional volatility, and then again we had some movements coming out to the end of May, beginning of June. Again, next week will be special because it's the end of the quarter. There would be probably there'll be some profit taking on stocks in so expect a little bit of a sell-off on the equity markets, and that's how the week ended yesterday as well. On Friday we saw the equity markets getting a little bit of bearishness, but that's maybe more to do with profit taking rather than all the news that's going around. So if you check what's happening, what are people reading, what are traders reading. So Facebook tightens controls, China misses to US. So crossing red line. So a lot of bearish headlines coming out, right? So coronavirus surge in Florida, Arizona, Texas. So expect that additional volatility, a little bit of reaction to all these very strong headlines, right? So maybe very difficult for traders to look at these kind of headlines and not react to this. So people do react to these very strong headlines. So expect a little bit of that additional reactions to come in the early part of this week, especially Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday being the end of the month, end of the quarter two, very eventful quarter at that. So, which is why I don't want to be taking entry here. Prefer taking entry on the upper side, just in case, Monday. So if there's a little bit of additional volatility or fear in the markets, there may be a rush to the US dollar, in which case we could see a gap up and going up into the higher area of this UFO, which is why I'm sticking to the plan 98.16. We reviewed it, so we found this trading opportunity last week. 98.16, but we'll stick to the plan. We've reviewed it. We'll stick to the plan because the climate continues to be confirmed down on the big picture, which is the dollar index weekly. And on the 240, this area is still not tested. Price trying to come close to this UFO, but getting rejected every single time. So imagine if this is the kind of reaction we're getting every time price comes even close to the UFO. Imagine the reaction we could be getting. I mean, it's not confirmed. Sometimes prices do go through the UFOs, but if these areas are proving to be pretty good for areas of reversal. So if we've been selling in this area, roughly close to this area, we would have been getting our reversals. If we were buying close to this, green UFO, you would have been getting your bullish reversals as well. So we'll stick to the plan, shorting at 98.16. So I'll put it in our spreadsheet here. So this remains here. So I'll be noting down the trades that we planned during the session, and we'll be reviewing it whenever we meet next time. to see what happened with this trade. We are shorting at 98.16, stop loss at 98.46, safety target. So in terms of the way we plan our trades, we've got two targets. We've got a safety target and a final target. The safety target is sort of a 1:1. So easier to get to our target when it is a 1:1, easier compared to the final target, I'm saying. And once you've got to your safety target, which is a 1:1, or your risk on the trade is off, you take half your position off here. So let's say you're going with two lots, you take one lot off at safety target and the other lot you take at final target. If you're going in with one lot, you split it into 0.5, 0.5. You take out your 0.5 at safety target and 0.5 at final target. Okay, hope everybody's okay with the plan and the rationale behind the plan. See if I can see your comments. So if you have any comments, you can type it into the chat, and I'll try and respond to your questions. So if everybody is okay with the plan on the dollar index, we can follow. We can check out the other major currencies. So let's go ahead and look at the euro dollar. Euro dollar again, where we see that the dollar index went into the green UFO and turned to the upside. We see euro dollar going into the red UFO and turning to the downside. Okay? But in terms of what our trading action and the trade we will be looking for, the side we will be looking for, we look at the big picture for confirmation. So the big picture, the weekly, when we are planning these kind of swing trades. Okay, so Negin says yes. Okay, everybody okay with the plan? Excellent. So euro dollar again, we're looking at the big picture. We're seeing some bearish candles here. Right? So the tendency would be to believe that the euro is going down. Well, actually, the climate is up. Right? So that we can see by looking at the big picture. We look at auto climate. Auto climate tells us it's a confirmed up climate. Again, very sophisticated tool here which can tell us the trend. Again, if you want to understand these figures, what these figures mean and how the UFOs work better, you can always check it out. If you go into tradewithufos.com/Cherry, and you can learn more about our trading apps, which is the auto climate and the auto UFO. So these are two of our trading applications. So in this case right now, euro dollar, we've got to confirm up climate, we look to buy. Now, given the additional bearishness that I'm expecting in the markets, we could see price going down here. So again, on the euro, we will stick to the plan, same plan here. If it was not end of the quarter, and remember when we start off the session, we look at what are the big news and events that are scheduled, and that is precisely to help us with our trades here. Because if we have big news and events, for example, interest rate announcements typically would produce a lot of volatility. This week again, being end of the quarter, Monday and Tuesday would be critical. So expect to see a lot of bearishness, and then most of the times the bearishness is explained when you see some of these headlines. Right? So why are markets correcting? Why are markets going down? The explanation would be coming from some of these headlines. But then looking at the charts, we already know that it's end of the quarter, end of the month. We can expect a little bearishness, which is bullishness on the US dollar, a little bit of a rush towards the safe havens, in which case a lot of money will be moving out of the other major currencies and other major assets and moving into the US dollar, in which case we can expect to see the euro going slightly further below into this area. So 1.1034. So this is slightly, so we're good with this. We're looking at quite a few currency pairs. Again, if you've been part of the previous sessions. We'll be planning about 6 to 7 trades on an average in this session. We don't want to be getting into 6 or 7 trades simultaneously. They are all sort of correlated trades. We're looking at dollar bearishness, we're looking at euro bullishness, GBP bullishness, Australian dollar bullishness, etc. So it's all more or less the same trade. So some of these trades we'll factor in some extra distance. That's perfectly okay. If we don't get, if we don't get entry, that's fine. As long as we've got a good chance, we're giving ourselves a good chance to get an entry on some of the other currencies. So now, if we're looking at the euro dollar, so right now we're at 1.1219. We're looking at just about 175 pips. Now, in a week like this, the last week of June, with 29th and 30th, 175 may just be achievable. Right? So daily ATR stands at around 65 to 70 pips at this point. And if we've got 2 full daily ATRs, 2 to 3 full daily ATRs by Monday, Tuesday, if we've got some additional sell-off on the euro, which is the bulls take over on the US dollar, we could see euro getting into this area of 175 pips is not beyond striking range for the euro for this week. So again, we'll stick to this plan. So this style of swing trading involves a little bit of patience. Sometimes we have to wait with these orders 10 to 15 trading days. So we'll stick to the plan 1.1035. We stick to, so we've reviewed it. Since the climate is still confirmed, since the climate is still confirmed, we'll stick to the plan. So buy position on the euro. Any questions, please type it into the chat. I'll try and answer your questions as well. We'll, meanwhile we're discussing, yes, let it be an interactive trading come, forex sharing kind of session, or forex knowledge sharing kind of session, rather than just finding trading opportunities. So if you want to get some clarifications on concepts, you can type in the chat and I'll try and answer your questions to the best of my abilities. So that's the euro dollar buy at entry 1.1035. Stop loss goes at 1.10985. Again, last time I discussed that if this is about 50 pips of risk, so usually we're not used to taking about 50 pips of risk on one trade on the euro, especially going in with 2 targets. Then what you could do is you can reduce your position size. So if your usual position size would be, let's say, 1 lot, you can probably go in with slightly lower, go with 0.7. So split, or you can go down on your position size or number of lots so as to accommodate the additional risk in terms of pips. Okay. Again, there are a few apps which can help us determine the right number of pips or right number of lots, position size based on how much risk is appropriate for your account size. Right? Any more questions, comments? I don't see any questions, comments coming up on the chat. Would like it to be a little more interactive, just to know, just to get some feedback. So please do type in your comments, questions, if any. So that's the euro. Let's continue. If everything is okay, if everybody's at peace with this plan, let's proceed and look at the other major currencies. Let's move on and look at the GBP. Okay. So GBP, so throughout June, in our past sessions, we've had unconfirmed climate. So today we're on the 27th of June, when we met on the 20th and the 13th and the 6th. So we've been doing this series for the last few Saturdays. Some of you have been with us in all the sessions, and again has been part of all the sessions in June. So we've had unconfirmed climates. We didn't have any trading opportunities on the GBP, right? On the GBP we did not, and finally we have a down climate on the GBP USD. However, so 2 things to consider. Will we look for shorting opportunities on the GBP? Question to the room, all the attendees of the session, question. Will we look for a selling opportunity on the GBP? Confirm climate. So I see 2 issues straight away. One is not safe. Again, why do you say it's not safe? So it's not a matter of US excellent again, yes. So that's one reason. But the other reason is, we can't see any UFOs here, right? So the again, notice how price reverses around the areas of the UFOs, right? So this is where there was supposed to be unfilled sell orders at that point. Price came very close to the UFO and then reversed. Now the nearest UFO from here at this point seems to be 1.28, or but if we take entry somewhere here, which is 1.283, which is about 500 pips. Now 500 pips, it doesn't look likely that the GBP can do 500 pips this week. In fact, we're expecting a little bullishness on the US dollar, in which case we're most likely to see the GBP going to the downside straight from here, or with a little bit of a bounce. So this would have been my expectation on the GBP, which is a little bit of a move to the upside. Second, while I at the trend line. Okay. So we would have expected a little bit of a bounce up, if at all we were to go with the confirmed down climate. We would have expected a little bit of a bounce up, maybe into one of these areas, and then a reversal like this. Right? Now there are two. So one of the issues is we don't see a sell UFO plotted here, so we don't know exactly where to place the order. And the other issue is we're expecting bullishness on the US dollar, in which case we're likely to see this going down. Right? GBP USD, even finally we did get a confirmed climate. However, we don't see where we can be placing our orders. So let's move on. Moving on to the New Zealand dollar. So last week we had planned a buy entry here, 6253. So this was our plan last week, 6255 area. Again, didn't get in there. Price moved within this very tight range here during the week. So these UFOs were not present when we met last week. So this was where the week had closed. This is where the week had opened, and price rallied up in the process, creating a green UFO here, into which price came in later later in the week, middle of the week, and then did a little bit of bounce, went into this red UFO, bounced back. So getting good respect of the UFOs, right here. So in this case, again, we're expecting a little bit of a sell-off in the equity markets and bullishness on the US dollar, in which case we could expect New Zealand dollar to go down here into this area now, in this case 6300. So let's be a little more aggressive this time around. So we've been really conservative with with our entries. This time we'll be a little more aggressive. Usually you're supposed to place this stop loss in the in the white space, a little bit of a about five or six pips below this area. So 330 is where the UFO ends. So let's go with our stop loss around 8 pips below that. So our entry will be right on top here. Now that you've seen the kind of reversals our UFOs are producing, gives us a little more confidence, right? So in the first couple of weeks, I just wanted to take it a little more easy, wanted to be a little more conservative with entries, but now that you see the reversals that we get from the UFOs, let's go ahead and plan our entry here, right on top of this UFO 6307. That should be fine. Okay, so 6307. So that includes spread, so you can straight away just place it at 6307. Don't need to add, adjust for spread. 6307. And stop loss goes at 6262. So So our safety target goes at 6352, final target goes at 6487. So this is 4:1. So that's 4 times the risk. So that's a 4:1. So that's our plan on the New Zealand dollar, which is consistent with our plan on the dollar, on the US dollar as well as the euro. So now this is the kind of scenario we want to see. If we're selling the US dollar, we want to be looking to buy the euro, buy the New Zealand dollar. And since we're going with multiple setups, sometimes we're, some currencies we're more conservative than others. Hoping to get entry on just 2 of these trades maximum. Even one of them will do the job. So if you're looking at entry at 1035, final target as 1235, that's about 200 pips on the second target, right? 200 pips on the second target, about 40 pips on the first target. So we're looking at getting about 250 pips from each of these trades. So we don't need many of these trades, just 2 of them. 2 of them will do the job for us. The swing trades that work during the month. Okay, so that's the plan on New Zealand dollar. I hope everybody okay. Let's move on and look at some of the other pairs. We've still got 20 minutes in the session. Today's session, I'm hoping to go a little more faster and do some cross pairs as well. So if you've got any favorite cross pairs that you trade on a regular basis, you can type it into the chat. We can look at those cross pairs today as well. Looks like we will have some time. Everybody okay? Australian dollar, we've got a UFO very close by here, but given the additional volatility, we don't want to be looking at a trading opportunity this close, right? So usually may not hold. This area has already produced a little bit of a reversal, not gold if you have the time. Let's see if this, this is supposed to be strictly a forex trading session, but why not? If we get the chance, if we have the time, we will look at gold as well. Gold is really interesting, and during these times, when there is a rush for safe havens, so it will be interesting looking at gold as well. Australian dollar, we don't find a UFO close by. The nearest one is this one, which is a little bit close for comfort. Maybe you can mark the area and maybe take it on a confirmation basis. So you can make a note of these numbers. I'm not going to place a trade here. 6830, because I am expecting a little bit of bearishness to come in the initial part of the week and then a reversal. So I would have expected it to go somewhere here, maybe the 6-7, early 6-7 area. Now on the 240 minutes, we can't see a UFO in this area, in which case let me make an exception and try and find another UFO here, which is ideally I would like to see something in this area, the 6,700 area. Sorry, 6,700. Maybe we can look at this area, the 6738. So again, we're switching time frames. Small switch on the time frames, looking at the 60. The 60 also gives us some good trading opportunities from a weekly income perspective. So we've got a UFO here, which is, so let me put in the numbers here. We're looking at 6734 going down. If we were to take this trade, stop loss goes around 6705. Seems like a decent area, in which case, okay, let's go with this trade here. So I'll take entry right where the numbers are. So take our entry at 6738. 6738. And stop loss goes, let's say, about 5 pips below this area, the 6715. So that'll be 6710. So let's go with this trade now. We've been missing quite a few trades, so I'm just trying to increase the chances of getting into some of these trades, right? So without really taking too much risk. So we've got a confirmed up climate. We couldn't find a UFO in the 6,700 area. So that's about 2 daily ATRs. We should be here. Okay, by Monday, Tuesday. Again, that's the expectation. Doesn't mean it has to happen that way, but this is the expectation from this trade. Monday, Tuesday, and then by the and first we will have the beginning of a new week, when we should have we could expect some fresh bullishness coming into the equity markets, and bearishness then coming on to the US dollar. So this is the expectation from this week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So that's our expectation. Let's see if it plays out in a similar fashion. It doesn't have to do this way. This was our expectation last week as well. Last week when we met, this was our expectation. Monday, Tuesday, around Wednesday, we hit entry and see the bullishness. Didn't quite work out that way. In fact, the week started off bullish straight away. There wasn't a retracement to pick up any buy orders. They found buy orders right where we were, picked up on a bullish tone, went up into this area of sell orders, and then we found the reversal. So that's our expectation. Let's put in the numbers. Australian dollar 6738. If you have any reservations, any comments, please do type it in. So copy the whole thing. That's just for the spreadsheet, because we had the USD JPY here, which would be two decimals after the, sorry, 2 digits after the decimal. So let's put in the numbers. 6738 entry. Stop loss goes at 6710. So I can see a question. Safety target and 6735 again. 6735 area. 6735. Yeah, that's so. Maybe I saw your comment. Yeah, that's exactly where we're going. 6738. Yes, again, absolutely right. Okay, so that's our plan on the Australian dollar. Let's move on and look at the other majors. Japanese yen, very important. Now again, we're expecting bearishness this week. Yeah, again, we'll stick to the plan here. We have a confirmed down climate. The down climate, the down climate is confirmed, is consistent with what we've seen with the other currencies, other major pairs that we've seen during this session. The only one that was not consistent so far was GBP dollar, right? So wherever we have the USD as the quote currency, we're seeing a confirmed down climate, except with the GBP USD. Sorry, I said it wrong. Wherever we are seeing USD as the base currency, we're seeing a down climate, unlike the GBP USD, where we have USD as the quote, and yet we see a confirmed down climate. So one other reason why we wanted to skip the GBP USD trade was it was not in line with all the other major currencies. So again, the beauty about doing this kind of analysis is you need to see that consistency, because if you're seeing the same consistent reading across all the majors, then you get so much more confidence in your trades and in your direction. Right? So USD JPY will stick to the plan. 108.33. So that'll be our trade on the USD JPY. Let me see. Look. So USD. So sell. And have the plan from there. Same plan, we'll stick to the plan, which is USD JPY short 108.34, stop loss goes at 108.79, safety target and final target. Okay. That's USD JPY. Bearish on USD JPY, similar on the USD CHF. However, we may have to get slightly aggressive this time, because 9538. So yeah, this now seems very far away at this point. Let's be slightly more aggressive in this today's trading session on the USD CHF revised plan, because price just seems to be not able to get into this area of 9550. So this UFO area looks like it's very powerful, which is why let's be a little aggressive, little more bolder this time, because we've been missing quite a few entries in the from the trades plan in the previous session. Again, now that you've seen how the how the UFO areas produce the reversals, gives you a little more confidence to step closer by, right? So entry at 9567, 9563, sorry. Stop loss goes, let's say, about 5 pips. USD CHF has a slightly lower ATR, so we can go with 5 pips. So 9585. Let's go with 9590. So that'll be our plan. Those will be our numbers on the USD CHF. Let's put in the numbers. USD CHF is also a sell. Everybody okay so far? Any questions? Entry 9563. Stop loss goes at 9590. Okay, so we've got a target and a stop loss. Let's put in a couple of trades more. Let's see if we can find a few more trades, and if we do, then I'll just add it to the table here. Okay, Negin's asked for gold. I will definitely look at gold. Let's do one more, the last of the majors, which is the USD CAD. Now USD CAD, if you remember, this was the area that we had the UFO. Finally, we got entry. So when we had planned our entry around 1.3702, we missed entry the first time, produced a reversal about 150 odd pips. In fact, more, just about 175 odd pips from that UFO, right? If you remember this UFO, when we had done our session the first time, finally, and we were planning entry at 1.3702, finally got entry this week. Didn't quite get the reversal. Now the climate is still down. We've already got entry into this area, should produce a reversal, but then in the early part of this week we can see, I'm expecting a little bit of upside movement on the USD CAD, more upside. So this is what I'm expecting, in which case, we could see price going through this UFO this time. Missed it the first time. This time it could go through, which is why I don't want to be planning a trade. Besides, we can't really see a UFO, right? So price has already touched these areas. Some of these unfilled orders, so something more about the unfilled orders is, so unfilled orders, as you can see, there would be a number, right? And every time there are some transactions here, that number is likely to go down. We don't know what precisely. We really don't care about what the precise number of unfilled orders will be, but the concept of the unfilled orders, if we're saying that there are unfilled orders which produce the reversal, the way to measure those unfilled orders would be numbers. And every time there are some transactions in that area, the numbers are likely to go down, number of unfilled orders, and therefore the probability of reversal also goes down slightly. Okay, so we'll take a pass on USD CAD this time around. Finally, we would have got entry, got a bit of a reaction this time. Not a bad reaction actually. 702 going to 3651. Just got about 50 pips of reversal. 370, yeah, would have helped us get to our safety target any case. But last week we didn't have a plan on the USD CAD. We had passed it. So if it if it kept this straight on, we would have gotten to our safety target, which is 3656. Okay, but last week we had taken off the trade, so I'm not going to count this. Maybe some of you had left it, and you would have gotten to your safety target, in which case you would have had a risk-free trade at this point. But I'm not going to count it because I had taken it out last week. Cool. So let's move on. Again, let's try and look at a forex pair. If there are no suggestions for forex pair cross pairs, I will definitely look at gold. Okay. So I'll give some other participants in the room, if you have any suggestions for cross pairs, forex pairs. Let's stick to forex in this session. The session is called Nailing Forex. We have other sessions focusing on other asset class. We do look at futures, we do look at stocks, we do look at options. If you want to check out some of the other sessions, it'd be great if you can attend some of the others. You know, we've got futures, we've got a nailing session. So some of our other sessions, if you want to, you know, check out, we've got short-term, long-term nailing FX sharpening series as well. Okay. So it doesn't look like we have any requests on any other forex pairs. So Negin will get okay. So Negin again. So I'm going to look at the continuous contract of the futures. So if you're trading it on the spot market, you'll have to adjust the numbers. So as you will see right now, it may not, you know, it may not match up 100%. Let me quickly look at the numbers if they are different, or you know, if on futures we can see that the number is the price at this point is 1766.5. And here it's 1770, right? So there's a difference of almost $4. 66.5, 70. Yeah, $4.50. So again, if you're trading it on the spot market, you'll have to adjust the numbers. But here we will data available for this. So let me try the unadjusted continuous contract. Okay, not getting that either. So okay, it's offline. Let me try the so and again I'll just give you the outlook. So looking at the ETF, exchange traded fund on gold. Let's see if we can get that here. TradeStation is offline. So let me just log into TradeStation one more time. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so I can check it on the continuous contract of the futures contract. It's a confirmed up climate, right? So looking at the big picture, what do we see? It's a confirmed up climate, and as we can see, last 3 weeks of bullishness, almost all of June. In the first 3 weeks of June, we've seen that bullishness. Let's see if we can see any UFOs. Let's wait for the pending data to come in. Let's see if we can see some green UFOs where we can continue riding the upside on gold. So it is likely to continue. So here again, while the data is loading, just like to point out these figures here. So when you see 2 here, 2 out of 4.5, right? So the climate is likely to continue for another 2.5 weeks. So we're done with 2 out of 4.5. So which is, we've got 2.5 weeks remaining of the up climate. So considerable upside remaining. Seems like we have considerable upside remaining on gold. So just in case, so okay, so we've got a green UFO. So just for GC 1780 area looks very good. So right where we are on the 60-minute chart. So again, if you're planning this on the spot market will show you the exact same formation. Let me just confirm that. H1, just in case it becomes easier for you to, yeah, you see the exact same formation, right? See here how price went up, went sideways for a little bit, and then pushed out of this area. You see the exact same formation here, which now is a green UFO, good for us to join in this area. However, I would have liked to see it on the 4-hour chart, for which we'll have to wait maybe a couple of minutes when the when the pending data loads. But for all practical purposes, this is good to join here. The 1781 area, maybe you can take it on a confirmation. So still we look for buys. Absolutely, and again, that's what we're saying. But again, we can confirm this next week. So the climate can change depending on. So notice you have a red UFO here. We could see a reversal, and then climate could change as per probability and statistics on this asset, which is gold. We are likely to see it continuing the up climate continuing for 4.5 weeks. We are just 2 out of 4.5, which means we're likely to see it go. It's, anything can happen in the markets, but yes, we can still look for buys. Gold seems bullish, and what you could do is, we're likely to see some reaction. So see how it plays. This area plays out on a Monday and a Tuesday. Maybe there's some additional volatility. Now, given the little bit of fear that we are seeing coming into the markets, fear because of all the headlines that we get to see, right? US coronavirus infections hit another daily record. So a little bit of fear coming into the markets, and as soon as we have fear coming into the markets, a rush to the safe havens, in which case we're likely to see money going into gold, into the US dollar, which is watch for this area, 1780 area, 1781 area. Okay, so that's the outlook on the on gold. So hope that helped. I think we've come to the end of that session, end of our session here. Hope you did enjoy the session, Megan, and all the others. I didn't see any comments coming from the other attendees, but I hope you enjoyed the session, and hope you agree with the outlook that we have and the plan we have. I'll put on the numbers, our trading ideas here. We don't need the additional rows. Take them off. So that's our plan for the week ahead. If you wish, you can take a snapshot. So that's our plan for the week ahead. Buy and sell setups. We've got about 6 setups. Again, not looking for entries on all 6. The moment you see you've got entry on about 2 of them, you can take off the others, cancel the other orders, because they are all in the same direction, correlated trades. If we're wrong, we'll be wrong on all the trades. Sometimes we're wrong. We don't want to be wrong on multiple trades. If we're right, two of these trades will give you enough number of pips to justify the 1 hour of planning that we put into this trading session. Cool. So hope you enjoyed the session, and hope to see you soon. Thank you very much.